Hello, Henry here, and welcome back to Xbox On. It's fair to say the list of games we're looking forward to this year is already pretty long, and it'll probably get even longer after the Xbox Series X showcase later this month. But sitting high up on that list ever since it was announced in May is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Just in case you've somehow missed all the hype, well, we can pretty much catch you up in one word: Vikings. Valhalla puts a Norse spin on the Assassin's Creed series, transporting the millennia-spanning conflict between the Brotherhood of Assassins and the Templar Order all the way back to 9th century Britain. You play Eivor the Wolf-Kissed, a fearsome Viking assassin who can be Eivor, a man or a woman. We were lucky enough to get our hands on the game as part of the Ubisoft Forward event. Now, sadly, this wasn't on an Xbox Series X, but it should give you a good idea of what to expect gameplay-wise when the game arrives later this year. I spent my playtime in Norwich, the East Anglian city that in some far-off future will eventually be home to North Norfolk Digital's very own Alan Partridge. But that's just for starters. On the world map, I could also see areas like Wessex, West and East Mercia, Northumbria, and somewhere weird called London, wherever that is. Those areas required a power level far beyond what I could manage in this session, but I can't wait to explore them when the game is released later this year. What's really cool to see though is how Valhalla puts a Viking twist on familiar Assassin's Creed elements. Boats are back, with longships manned by a crew who sing songs and tell stories. The game's equivalent of Eagle Vision is provided by Sunin, a raven who is mates with Eivor. They also play into the constellation-themed skill tree, with 3 paths inspired by the bear, the wolf, and the raven. That is so Raven. And that's all well and good, but there's loads of new stuff to do as well, like drinking games and Viking rap battles. But the addition that really caught my eye during this preview session has to be the new assault missions.
As with everything, an easy task for the Wolf-Kissed.
These are multi-part set-piece missions where you launch an attack on a giant fortification. Because, if you're making a game about Vikings, you've got to have some castle raiding action in there, right? I played through A Fury from the Sea, an assault mission from early in the game where you launch an attack on Berg Castle, which is a real Saxon fort you can actually go and visit today. Although please don't bring any axes or longships with you if you do, you might get a few funny looks from the locals. The castle is home to Rued, a fellow Norseman who has been terrorising the local Saxons and pillaging their villages. Eivor wants to unite the Danes and the English so the two can live together in peace, which means taking East Anglia back from Rued and his army. The assault itself begins with Eivor catching a ride on a longship, which you have to steer and dodge streams of fire arrows from the castle. Once you get ashore, everything goes a bit Saving Private Ryan, and it's time to fight them on the beaches using Valhalla's new combat system. Fighting will feel instantly familiar to fans of Odyssey, but with an added weight thanks to the introduction of stamina. Enemies now have a second bar just above their health, which you can chip away at with attacks to open them up for big damage-dealing combos. You've got your own stamina bar too though, so you'll need to be careful and keep an eye on it during combat. It makes sense after all, your blows do feel quite heavy, so even a beardy beast like Eivor can't keep swinging that axe forever. Let your stamina deplete and you'll be left in a vulnerable, gassed state where you're open to all manner of punishment. New enemies like the Berserker are more than ready to capitalise on this, dealing blow after blow in quick succession while you're too knackered to dodge out of the way. Luckily, you've got a few tricks up your sleeves, and I'm not talking just about the hidden blade. Eivor is capable of some daring feats of violent wonder, my favourite of which has to be chucking a frankly obscene amount of axes at your enemies, with an acrobatic double throw at the end to finish them off. I wonder if Eivor has to go around after the battle to pick them all up again. I mean, they're not exactly cheap. While the fighting's going on, you'll also need to be thinking about pushing the battle towards the castle gates. Your raiding party comes equipped with a battering ram, and you can help them push it forward, but it might be wise to focus on fighting off the defenders first to give them a clear run. If your allies fall, you're actually able to revive them, but it will leave you open to attacks, so choose your moments very carefully and make sure you're always aware of your surroundings. Once the ram reaches a gate, you can take direct control and knock it down. Then you can move on to the next area. The further up you advance, the tougher the defenses you'll face, and in later stages you can expect more elite soldiers, beefy slayers, and those pesky berserkers that I mentioned earlier on. Finally reaching the centre of the castle triggers a boss fight with Rued himself, along with his pet wolf. Eivor's nickname might be the Wolf-Kissed, but there wasn't much smooching going on here. Once you've smashed those two, you rescue Oswald, the actual historical king of East Anglia, and he gives you a choice: kill Rued or spare him. In my eternal benevolence, I chose mercy, a decision that quickly came back to bite me as Rued crashed Oswald's wedding and challenges the king himself to a fight to the death. You get the option again to fight him yourself, but I decided to leave Ozzy to it. He is the king now after all. It seemed like a good chance to prove his might.
He may be wounded, but don't let your guard down.
Let's settle this.
That should give you an idea of just how much the assault missions are tied to the narrative, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it all goes. But winning one will also net you a pretty sweet castle, which you can use as a fast travel point, but mostly is just good for bragging rights. What, you don't have your own castle? Pfft, whatever. Assaults were just one of the cool things about my time with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but let us know down in the comments what you want to know more about, and make sure to subscribe to the Xbox On channel to keep up with all the latest developments, Viking related or otherwise. We'll see you next time. Bye!